Hi, I'm Paul Zeno, MusicMaster Scheduling Consultant, and today we're going to go over hour rotation and the rules that go with that within your MusicMaster database. For starters, we're going to open up the rule tree. A couple different ways to do that. You can either do the lightning bolt or dataset rule tree. If you're not familiar, real quick, the left side is where you have the rules. The right side is where you find the rules. So for today's example, we're going to open up our categories. And on the right side, under Song History Rules, we'll find a secondary folder called Hour Rotation Rules, and this is where we're going to spend our time. For starters, we're going to discuss day offset window and how that works. Anytime you see a lightning bolt in the rule tree on the available rule types, that's a rule you can turn on by dragging it across and dropping it into your folder of choice. Unbreakable is where I put this one. The most basic setting for day offset window is days to check of 1 and a window size of 1 hour. But you can expand this to multiple days and a wider window of hours. So if we were to use a 3-day, 3-hour window, this is saying look at the last 3 days as well as the next 3 days, and the window size is 3 hours focused around the hour in which we're scheduling. If we're scheduling 9 a.m., the 3 hours would be 8 a.m., 9 a.m., and 10 a.m. We can also tell it to test past days only. This is advantageous so that you're only looking at past plays. However, if you're scheduling into the future, so you schedule a full week and then you go back and edit Monday's log, you might want to uncheck that box. That way when you're editing, it's looking at what's coming forward as well as what's already happened. We can turn on the rule multiple times if we wish. So right now we're saying look at 3 days for 3 hours, but we can also turn on the rule and say to look at 5 days for just 1 hour. So those will ultimately overlap for a few days, but the 5 days would be, if we were looking at Friday, it would be Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday, Sunday, and your 1 hour would be the same hour that you're scheduling. And again, we can do test past days only if we wish. Moving forward, we also have what's called play offset window, which works similarly to day offset, except we're not looking at past days and future days. We're looking at plays that occur. So a basic setting of 1 play in 1 hour says look at the last time or the next time the song is playing and make sure it doesn't appear in the same hour that we're scheduling now. We can tell it to only look in the past. We can also have a cutoff. The cutoff comes in handy with the play offset rules because let's say we're doing a Christmas category. You don't want it to look all the way back from Christmas 2013 to what happened at Christmas 2012. So it might be handy to have a maximum days of, say, 30 days in this case. We can also expand this to say, let's look at the last 3 plays and make sure none of those appeared in the same broadcast hour or in the same 3-hour window that we're looking at. The 3 hours would be the hour of as well as the hour before and after the play that we're testing, back for 3 plays. And again, we can overlap these as well with play offset window. We can say to look at the last 5 plays as an example and make sure none of those appear in the same hour. And we can also set off the max days cutoff if we wish. Those are day offset and play offset. But we can kind of do a combination of the two things by using a day exclusion mask. Day exclusion mask, if we were to pop that in here, we could have 2 day offset window rules already turned on. 3 days, 3 hours. So that would be 3 days and 3 hours. So that's the hour before and the hour after. That gives you your 3-day, 3 hours right there. 5 days, 1 hour adds in the same hour for the last 5 days back. You can also name the rule, and you can tell it to test in the past only if you wish, just like you could for the other rules that we've already turned on. This one rule accomplishes both day offset of 3 days, 3 hours, and 5 days, 1 hour, just by turning it on once. And you can name it however you wish. So similarly, we have a play exclusion mask. With that rule, we can do the same thing. We can say look at the last 3 plays in the 3-hour window. So here's our last 3 plays, and here's our 3 hours. And then our last 5 plays for 1 hour. Again, accomplish 2 rules with just one, and you can have multiple of these if you need to as well. Again, name it as you wish, test in the past, max days is available to you. We often get asked the question, what's the difference between a day offset window and a sliding day offset window? Well, that's what I'm going to show you next. So with day offset windows, we're looking at the same hour and the hours on either side, looking at whole hours. So if the song we're playing is testing at 9:05 a.m., it's looking at 9 to 9:59 if we're using a 1-hour rule. With sliding day offset window, if we were looking at 1 day and a window size of 1 hour, this is an hour that centers itself around the play being tested. So if we're testing a play at 9:15 a.m., it's actually testing 8:45 to 9:45 on the past days and future days. Past days if we're setting up for test past only. The advantage of this is that 8:05 play, if you were using day offset window, would only protect 8 to 8:59. Sliding day offset would protect 7:35 to 8:35. You can also go so far as to have it go to the exact minute if you wished. We could say 1 hour and 22, which would give us 41 minutes of protection on either side of the play being tested. Just like we have sliding day offset versus day offset, we also have sliding play offset with play offset windows. And here's where you'll find your sliding play offset window. Works very similarly to sliding day offset in that we're looking at past plays, if we check the past plays only, and the window size. So here we're saying, look at the last time the song played, make sure it doesn't play within 30 minutes of itself either side. Again, the window slides itself over the time being tested. Moving forward, we have what's called exclusive offset windows for both day and play. The exclusive day offset window comes in real handy if you have a show, for example, that only appears on Sunday mornings. Instead of having it test all 7 days, you can say, just test the 7th day back, 7 days from today, and we want to make sure that it doesn't play within an hour of itself either side. So we'd set the window size at 2 hours, so it slides itself over it, just like our sliding day offset window, except this one's only looking at the 7th day back and the 7th day ahead, unless we check that box to test the past only. Just like that, we've got the exclusive play offset window as well. This one's not quite as commonly used because this is telling it to only check a specific play in the past. So we could tell it to only look at the 5th time back that the song played and make sure it stays outside of that sliding 1-hour window, which would be plus or minus 30 minutes. Again, with your play windows, you can tell it to have a maximum day cutoff, and you can tell any of these rules to test in the past only. That brings us to our shift rotation rules. We have 2 of them, shift rotation and shift pattern rotation. Shift rotation is dependent on setting up what's called shifts. Some people refer to these as the day parts in your database. By default, this would be blank. We've already set this up in this database. So where you see a 1, that's considered shift number 1. You can also name these shifts by clicking the shift names and giving them names accordingly. The objective of shift rotation is to make sure that a song, when it plays, does not repeat in the same shift on its next play. So we have this rule set for 1 other shift. So that means if we play a song in shift number 1, the next time it plays, it cannot play wherever there's a 1 in that grid. If we were to change it to 2 other shifts, and the first time it plays is in 1, it would have to play in 2 of 2, 3, 4, or 5 before repeating in number 1. Additionally, we have this checkbox in play in a different hour than the previous play in the current shift. That comes in very handy because if you played it in 4 a.m. this time, next time it plays in the 1 in shift number 1, it will not play in the 4 a.m. hour if that box is checked. But be warned, if you have a shift that's only 1 hour in length, this is going to eventually make you run out of songs because once a song's played there, it can never repeat. You can also test in the past only, and you can have maximum days. Shift pattern rotation comes in handy if you want MusicMaster's scheduling to automatically follow a preset order of shifts. So we look at our shift editor again. We have 1 for overnights, 2 for morning, 3 for midday, 4 for PM, and 5 for nights. We can tell MusicMaster that we want it to follow the pattern of play in shift 1, the next play has to be in 3, the next play has to be in 5, followed by 2, and then 4. So what that tells us is that when a song plays where there's a 1, next time it plays it has to be where there's a 3, followed by a 5, then a 2, then a 4. You can dictate the pattern. This can get risky. This can cause some unscheduled positions if you're not careful. You need to make sure you have a wide enough variety of songs in the library so that this is actually feasible. You also want to make sure that you do not tell it to then play in shift 6 when there is no 6th shift scheduled in your shift assignment grid. You can turn these on and off just by clicking on the numbers, or you can reset the whole thing if you wish. So if the last time the song played was where there's a 3, the next time would have to be a 5 in order to pass this rule. Again, you can tell it to test maximum days as well. The last hour rotation rule is called auto kick. This rule works best in typically a current-based category, such as a heavy currents. The way this works when set to full hour is if the song played yesterday in the hour we're scheduling, we're going to kick it out of rotation and put it to the back of the stack, essentially. We can also set this for shorter increments of time. We can set it for a half hour, that half hour being 0 to 30 or 30 to 60. Quarter hour is another option, which would be the 15 to 30, 30 to 45, and 45 to top. When it plays in that same part of the hour yesterday, today it punts it out of there, essentially automatically kicking it out of the rotation. You can also tell it to ignore plays from other categories, which comes in handy if you have songs that move from A to B or B to A and so forth. If it played as a B yesterday, but we're scheduling it as an A today, it's not going to kick it out of the rotation because it played as a B in this hour yesterday. That's what happens when you check that box for ignore plays from other categories. That's a summary of our rotation rules in MusicMaster. Should you have any questions, make sure to contact your MusicMaster scheduling consultant. Have a great day.